Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the current rank 1 in the world team with Azumarill. Very cool Pokemon, haven't really used it recently, so today we're gonna take a look at this Pokemon. Also the team itself is kinda interesting. We're going to have a team here with the Registeel, I think as a say-swap for this team, as well as in the back we're going to have the Venusaur, but it's a normal Venusaur. This team has some weaknesses, and honestly, I have to say, basically the Pokemon I came up with, like the teams that I faced, was very unlucky for me. Like a lot of times I actually encounter exactly the core breakers I didn't want to see, which are usually, at least I don't really see too much. For example, a Nidoqueen in the lead is not really ideal for you. This would be actually the time slot for the tier list Tuesday, but I guess we're gonna put this for tomorrow. So like if you were wondering when this is going to be, it's going to be tomorrow then. But here we're gonna take a look now, of course, at the rank 1 in the world team. We're gonna be able to go for a Zap Cannon here against the opponent. Actually, Registeel still does some decent damage against Nidoqueen. We're gonna get the attack drop here, which is really nice for me, because now we're going to be able to take those Thunderbolts a little bit easier. And also Deoxys is something that with the coverage it has, I don't really want to face with either my Venusaur or my Azumarill, so we're going to be able to just go for the knockout here, get the KO, and let's see what's going to be in the bag. It's going to be a Pokemon that I actually can definitely deal with. It's going to be the Dewgong. Maybe I should have tried to stay in and go for a Zap Cannon first, but I didn't want to give the opponent too much energy prior, so we can still outspeed them with our Venusaur. But just, of course, still have to shield up the incoming Icy Wind as the opponent decides to try to swap into the Venusaur. Didn't work out for the into the Nidoqueen, of course, didn't work out for them. And we can just go ahead, go for the Frenzy Plant, and get the knockout with a one more Vine Whip. So, horrible lead for us, we still came back from it, but the amount of time I encountered a Serperior in the lead, well, like some normal say-swap, is just absolutely madness. Maybe I should start going for the say-swap of Venusaur if I encounter a Serperior in the lead, because otherwise it's just a little bit tricky. But honestly, I was just very unlucky with the kind of stuff that I encountered. Usually I don't encounter too many Serperior leads, but I think encountered like 2 or 3 of them, which is really difficult for this team to deal with. But we're gonna be able to still go for Focus Burst against the opponent here. Gonna get the shield. Try to go for another charge move, but it does not work out. Maybe I should went for the Zap Cannon instead, but we can still take a move from the opponent. Sableye taking the return here. And I try to get some extra energy with my Venusaur. But of course, they're going to run the Alolan Sandslash in the back. And if you get hard countered, you get hard countered. There's not a lot that you can do about it. But interestingly enough, actually, this matchup would not be a hard counter if the opponent would have been Shadow and if I would have been Shadow, but they were running the normal Venusaur, so I'm running the normal Venusaur. And yeah, like basically, if you hit a Frenzy Plant in that scenario of your Shadow and the opponent's Shadow, Venusaur can actually win against the Alolan Sandslash, just not in this scenario, as you're gonna get outsped by the opponent. But interestingly enough, yeah, Shadow matchup would have been a little bit different here, but we're gonna be just forfeiting this game as we got completely hardwall there. Next opponent, actually a very decent lead for us. We're gonna encounter a Diggersby. We can stay in here, they're going to run the Quick Attack as a fast move, and of course they're most likely going to try to catch a move here, which does not work out for them at all, as you can swap out into our basically worst Pokemon to deal with for the Diggersby, which is going to be the Registeel, and we can just go for a Zap Cannon and try to go for a full farm down afterwards to get to a Focus Blast, knock out the opponent's Diggersby. But we're gonna see here, we're gonna get the attack drop, which is amazing for us. Doesn't really matter though, because as you're going to see, the opponent going to be able to win the CMP type. This is going to be a Scorching Sands, and if they're running Quick Attack, it's fairly likely that they're running the Fire Punch as well. So maybe I should have went into my Azumarill, but I decided to go into my Venusaur, which maybe was a mistake. Let's take a look at this one. We can take a Fire Punch here for sure, and we can still go for a Frenzy Plant, which should be kind of okay for us. Getting the shield from the opponent, having now a shield advantage is always nice, and I have an Ice Beam stored, and this was basically what I tried to do here. I tried to get the opponent into range where the Ice Beam would be enough to knock them out. But sadly, the opponent does not really allow it to do here. I'm just going to be able to knock them out like this. But honestly, in the back, we're going to have the Wigglytuff lurking, which is going to be amazing for us as our Azumarill, especially with the huge energy advantage that we have here. Is going to be able to take it home, as we can just two-shot them with 2 Play Roughs, as they have to go for 2 charge moves, which does not work out for them. So this is going to be a good game. Moving on into the next game. Let's take a look who's coming up next. We're going to have the Ninetales in the lead. If it's Powder Snow, it's amazing for us, and it is Powder Snow. Ninetales is really decent for this team to deal with, as basically if it's Powder Snow, your lead as well as Registeel going to be able to deal with it, and if it's Charm, both of your Pokemon in the back going to be able to deal with it easily. So like there's always going to be something that you can do against those like Ninetales, depending on the moveset, doesn't really matter there. So it's kind of nice. So we can also just stay in here against the opponent's Deoxys, and I can just try to realign my Pokemon. And that's exactly what I'm going to try to do, because I don't want to have Powder Snow against my Venusaur. I decided to just go for the full farm down. And we're going to see in the back a Serperior. This is a common theme. The amount of Serperior I encountered was wild. And yes, I played like my games before already with a different team. I think I encountered maybe one Serperior, and now with this team, which is a little bit weak, at least against Serperior, I encountered like so many of them, which was kind of unfortunate. So this kind of also drags down a little bit the results of this team, but I feel like still this team has a lot of potential. I most likely would have used a different Pokemon in the back compared to the Venusaur, but maybe I just also play it wrong, so that could be the case. But I like the idea of having the Azumarill right now in the lead, plus Registeel, for example, as a safe swap. But you kind of want to have like maybe something different in the back, which is going to be a little bit easier to deal with, like for like the Serperior or whatever. Has to be something that of course deals with Lanturn, which can be a little bit of an issue, where we're going to have an interesting matchup later on as well. Here we're going to have the matchup for Serperior against our Venusaur, which we're going to be able to win fairly easily in this scenario, as I can just use a shield, go for my Sludge Bomb and one-shot them, so that's going to be amazing. But sadly, even with the normal Venusaur, you're going to get two-shot by Aerial Ace after a little bit of fast move pressure, so yeah, it's a little bit awkward there. But we can move on into the next game. We're going to have a Lanturn in the lead. This is most likely the matchup that I was talking about. Again, horrible lead, horrible saves up for us. This is also something that you rarely really see. Like Lanturn lead you see kind of often, but like you don't really see that often the Ninetales in the back. So especially with the fast move of Fire Spin as well as non-shadow variant, it's just fairly rare, and it's completely hard countering us, where I cannot really do anything about it. If they were Shadow, I think I would have got a shield advantage there, but of course if they are not, like, it's a little bit awkward, but it's complete hard counter, nothing I can do here, as I can at least still get the farm down and try to get some extra energy, as I can try to swap out immediately against the opponent there. We had some lag. In comes the Sableye. Maybe there's still a way to win this game. Because we have at least one fast move advantage here, we will be able to outspeed the opponent, and we're gonna get to the moves at the same time as the opponent, so at the end of the day, the two-shield scenario, I should be able to win as a Venusaur. But what is kind of awkward here is that the opponent is going to get me insanely low just by the fast moves alone. So I'm going to be forced to use a shield here against the opponent. Foul play comes through, but we're already close to the red health, putting us into a range where maybe even a Surf is going to be enough to knock us out after the spark damage, which we see here. I'm going to be able to catch a move. This is the best one that I can do here. Honestly, catching this move of the Surf is going to be very helpful for me, as I can now do some damage with my Play Rough. I have to hope that two Play Roughs are enough to knock them out. It's going to be close, maybe it is, but most likely not. We're going to be able to still go for another Play Rough here. This is going to get some damage onto them, but not enough to knock them out yet either. They still have a little bit of health left, and they make a smart play by going for a Surf, because we're just barely going to miss out on the Ice Beam here, allowing the opponent to still go for a charge move, and even a Surf is going to be enough from this range. But again, having the Lanturn against our Azumarill in the lead, plus having a normal Ninetales as a safe thrower against our Registeel is wild. Next opponent, we have a great lead here with Steelix, but I want to kind of point out that the opponent places really well here. Take a look at this one. They're going to go for Breaking Swipe first. Completely, of course, obvious, as it was basically the only move they could have got to at this point. So we can still go for one Ice Beam, get them low, but with this Breaking Swipe, because we are not running Hydro Pump, the opponent puts us basically perfectly into a range where they can still get to the Earthquake, which I didn't really expect, so great job there. They definitely know their Steelix well, knowing that they have to go for a Breaking Swipe first in order to get to another Earthquake afterwards is very smart, as you're going to see the Medicham, and we gotta swap out at the same time, and they swap into a Bastion while I have my Registeel here, which is an amazing matchup for me, but I kinda misplay this most likely. Here we're going to see that I can still hit just a Focus Blast there, which is going to be amazing. But as you can see, the opponent goes for a Flamethrower, and maybe I could farm them all the way down here, but I decide to go for the charge move instead, leaving us at a low amount of health, but also a low amount of energy, and we still have to go for a Zap Cannon here. I decided to let this move go through, looking what they're going to have here. They're going to have a Dynamic Punch, which is going to be amazing for me, as I can still have my Venusaur. I have a Player of Stored on my Azumarill as well, and I can just go for the Frenzy Plant here, getting the shield from the opponent, as we will see here, the opponent going for the charge move. It's going to be the Ice Punch, they're not running double nuke on it, and we can just go ahead and try to go for another charge move in time, and as long as you're going to be able to get the shield here, we should be okay, because we have our Azumarill in the back lurking there, trying to go for a Player of later on, and we're gonna get the final shield here. As the opponent goes for a charge move, does it even KO us? I'm not even sure about this. it does not, and our Venusaur is taking this game home. Good game there to the opponent, as we can move on into the next game. We're going to encounter the Swampert in the lead. This is a Pokemon that I like to see against my Venusaur, so if they mind to swap out here eventually, I would be happy about it. As we're going to see here, the opponent going to go for a charge move. I decided to shield up because it's very likely an Earthquake and I just don't want to have the damage. Great play by the opponent to catch a move onto the Cresselia here. But also, we're going to have in the back here, of course, our Registeel. And Registeel is going to love this matchup, especially as the opponent is running an interesting moveset here. They're running Future Sight. So, good thing I went into my Registeel, because usually the Venusaur would have been also a very decent answer against Cresselia. But like this, we are currently in a very decent spot, especially after the attack drop. They are not gonna do any damage against me anymore. I can farm up to basically 100 energy, and I can go for the Focus Blast here, because it should be already enough to knock them out at this range. And yes, we can just realign, and I hope they can still go for another Focus Blast, but sadly this is not going to work, as the opponent can still go for a charge move here with the Swampert knocking me out, but allowing me to go into my Venusaur. I'm going to stay in for a little bit, as this matchup is fine. I can just go for a charge move, and as we're going to see, the opponent is going to let this move go through, allowing me to just go for an Ice Beam against the opponent's Medicham, while letting this move go through, showing that they're going to run Psychic over Dynamic Punch, but we can still just go for an Ice Beam here, getting the shield from the opponent. I can just try to still reach another one in time, which does not work out, but this is CMP I think, so we're gonna get rid of the final shield of the opponent as they try to bait me, which did not work out at all, and this is going to be game. They don't even use their shield here, because I think they know it's over, but they're actually still trying with their Swampert, which is kind of funny, but it does not really help them. They have to go for a charge move here. I still can just go for the full farming with my Venusaur. This has to be an Earthquake in order to try to at least knock me out. They don't even get to an Earthquake afterwards, so yeah, don't really know what play they tried to do there. But again, as said before, the amount of Serperiors that I encountered was kind of wild. But we're actually going to encounter a fairly decent Say Swap Force, especially if we get the debuff here. This is going to be amazing for me. Don't really have to say anything about this one, but we're still going to be hopefully positive in this matchup, but without the debuff, they actually can two-shot me, which is really annoying. Like, this is the thing as well. If we got the debuff here, it would be a whole entirely different game, because they would not be even close to two-shotting me with the drill run. But like this, I'm going to be forced to use a shield, which is really sad. So again, 33% chance to get this disadvantage, as the opponent decides to just go into their Serperior, go for a Frenzy Plant. And I decided to go for the Focus Blast here. Maybe could have went for the bait instead as well. But as you're going to see here, I decided to swap out, which is going to be risky, but I have to do that kinda, because I am in a shield disadvantage. The opponent has their Serperior, which is going to be good with the charge moves against both of my Pokemon. So I'm kind of forced to take some risks here. And I'm going to take another risk here, hoping that I can still somehow survive this one. We are surviving it with 1 HP, but yeah, we needed 2 HP basically to get to another charge move, so that's kind of annoying. As we can move on to the next game. What the hell? Magnezone. Magnezone is core breaking this team, basically completely destroying the team. But I'm sorry, like, Magnezone is not really a common Pokemon, but is really good against this one here, so it's kind of annoying to deal against kind of those Pokemon when you try to showcase the team. Like, this is not really showing how good this Pokemon actually, like this team or whatever, actually going to be in the meta, because yeah, it's you showing it off against non-meta Pokemon, but it is what it is. I am not going to put it out here. This team is very weak against Magnezone, just to tell you. We're still gonna get a shield here, which is kind of nice for us, but yeah, this team sucks against Magnezone. Like, literally all Pokemon kind of lose against it, even the Venusaur. Like, you might think, oh yeah, I'm going to be able to resist the electric typing. You think at least you would resist the electric typing, but as you can see here, you get two-shotted by it. It's ridiculous. Like, there is no way of me going to be able to win this game, especially with a Pelipper on the back. It's a fairly common team. Like, Sableye plus Pelipper on the back is a very easy combination. I think I played like something similar on my channel as well before. It is just a very strong team, and a team that does make a lot of sense. So yeah, it's a little bit of an awkward one here. But Magnezone, cool Pokemon though. Like, I like to see some more spice or like some more different Pokemon like this one. So no blame towards the trainer. It just doesn't really showcase the matchups that you usually would see, but that's fine. So this team is a little bit struggling against those Serperior leads. I think in the back it would be totally fine to encounter Serperior, but we mainly encountered in the lead. Plus this team struggles against Magnezone, so that's great to know, I guess. But we're going to be able to at least now have the matchup against the Venusaur. Not the Venusaur, against the Deoxys here, which I don't want to have onto my Venusaur. That's what I want to say. So I'm going to use a shield here. I wish they would have let the first move go through, but they didn't, because then I would have tried to catch a move onto my Registeel. But here I'm gonna still try to go for another charge move. I think I could have already tried to catch the move onto Registeel. They're still gonna go for a Thunderbolt here apparently, which I'm okay with. They are gonna now swap out into their Gligar, which I'm not okay with. But this is what you kind of have to do anyway with the team. You kind of have to try to get out the Gligar because you don't really want to have it in the back and you need your Azumarill to deal with it. Again, if you look at this, I don't get the debuff, and again, it matters quite a bit. As you're gonna see the Dig coming through, gonna get me into a range where they can still farm me down. I still get to another move, but I would have got so much more damage onto them with just Lock On. But no, so this is going to be a little bit of an awkward one. Luckily, we got, I think, the debuff there right now, which allows us to still survive an Aerial Ace, but we have to try to swap out, which they're still gonna get to another Aerial Ace. It's just an unfortunate scenario there. Like, again, I feel like this team is better than the results actually shown, which is still a 5-5, so it's like I went equal with this team, but against, like, a lot of Serperior leads, which are horrible for this team. And maybe also me not playing it correctly. Maybe I should have went for the Venusaur as a safe swap then if I encounter Serperior in the lead, which I think I would recommend you to do. So like you have to kind of also play a team for a little bit longer, plus Magnezone, plus a lot of debuffs I didn't get, which would have like made games easier. So that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.